Spurs win! Spurs win! Spurs win! Spurs win! Spurs win! A great win tonight over the Chicago Bulls, 131-122. I'm Chris Duel, along with Michael Bartlett. Happy birthday, Coach Greg Popovich. Right now, Bill Schoening speaking with Spurs assistant coach Mitch Johnson. Let's listen in.
Good offense beats good defense sometimes. But, yeah, we for 48 minutes, we stayed the course, and we made it hard on them. And I think, like you said, in the third quarter, we saw a little bit of that effect there.
Is the team starting to look to Jakob a little bit more? Is he getting more post touches, or is that my imagination?
No, he's definitely getting more post touches. And I think, he's demanding it. And when he's getting the ball, he is decisive and he is aggressive to look to score. And I think you're seeing that, and even with this free
throws, good point, Kevin Monk.
In that area as well. And, confidence is a heck of a drug at times, and I think, we're starting to see it a little bit as a group and some guys individually. And it's pretty cool to see with the young team and some of these younger players.
Yeah, pretty solid game tonight, I thought, for Keldon Johnson as well.
For sure. I mean, again, he was another guy we've challenged and Pop's challenged to rebound, and tonight he had 8 big rebounds along with all the defense. And so, the 23 points is great, but you add on the defense with the rebounds, and that's a heck of an effort.
Well, Mitch, you got a tough stretch coming up here. I know you guys could go one game at a time, certainly, but playing some of these better teams, is that good for you guys right now in terms of trying to figure out exactly where you are?
Yeah, I think this year, just with all the circumstances and variables that we've dealt with, and probably all the teams and just our youth and everything, I think a lot of it's been about us. And that's not putting down the good teams or propping up some teams with maybe lesser records. But, I think we just need to focus on us. And if we play our game, the one thing our guys have shown that they've shown to compete in the fight. So we just need to stay at it and continue to get better with some of the little things, the details, and let the chips fall where they may, and try to continue to learn how to close these games out.
Mitch, thanks very much for this. Glad you're back with the team, and good luck the rest of the way now, okay?
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. That is Mitch Johnson, assistant coach for the Spurs. The final score time, 131-122, San Antonio over Chicago. Okay, let's take a look at some individual scoring. We gave you some team numbers a while ago. First of all, for the visitors, of course, led by DeMar DeRozan, although Zach LaVine was right there with him. 32 points for DeRozan. He was 13 of 22 from the field. He also grabbed 6 rebounds and dished out 8 assists. He is clearly their team leader. 30 points for Zach LaVine. He took 23 shots to get there. 10 points for Ayo Dosunmu. This is a third-string point guard. This young guy, he's a rookie from the University of Illinois, thrown into the fire here with the injuries to Lonzo Ball and to Alex Caruso, and he's doing a fine job for the Bulls tonight. Dosunmu had 10 points and 6 rebounds and 3 assists. 18 points for Vucevic to go along with 8 rebounds and 4 assists. Javonte Green was 3 of 5. He had 8 points and a couple of boards. Off the bench, Kobe White with 18. He was 7 of 9 for the field. He had 4 threes. 4 points for Troy Brown Jr. and a deuce for Tyler Cook. For the Spurs, all 5 starters in double figures, paced by DeJounte Murray, 29 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds for Murray. Also for the Spurs, 23 for Keldon Johnson. Just talking with Mitch Johnson about him, 23 points, 8 boards. They've challenged Keldon, he said, to get a little busier on the boards. He had 8 rebounds this evening. Doug McDermott had 11 points, 3 of 7 beyond the arc. Jakob Poeltl, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and a block shot for Poeltl. He was a plus 30 in the plus-minus this evening. Derek White with 14 points and 9 assists tonight. He also had 4 rebounds. We mentioned Murray's numbers. He had 29. Off the bench, Devin Vassell and Lonnie Walker each had 11, 4 for Drew Eubanks, 5 for Josh Primo, and Trey Jones played 3 minutes and got a single field goal. Actually, his points came from the free throw line. 33-24 bench advantage for the Spurs over the Bulls in this ball game. San Antonio improves to 19-31. The Bulls 30-18. And again, the largest crowd of the year, a sellout crowd, 18,354 on hand to see the Spurs beat the Bulls 131-122. Spurs radio from the AT&T Center will continue in a moment.
Getting paid up to 2 days early.
That's Bill Schoening, his post game on the Spurs radio network out of 1200 WOAI in San Antonio. I see Mary Anthony, the Spurs good luck charm. She might have been at that game tonight, the way the Spurs played.
He's going to start this. He just has to get in one thing, and then he's going to toss it to you. So
okay.
So you'll do 2.
I'll do 2.
Yeah, so you can just do the normal one. Just do your normal segment here, and then that way the next one can be super quick.
Stop running.
Sounds good. Normal segment here, next one quick. So Mary Anthony, the Spurs good luck charm, is in here We've got Ofa Lin from Singapore. We've got Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan from Tokyo. Brian Birdie, who was at the game tonight. Brian Birdie, a huge Spurs fan. Brian was texting me. So, and this is not Chicago Bulls red, Brian. This is my homage to Jim Mora. Playoffs. There is a question mark. See, I am not wearing. I am wearing the Spurs hard hat, but I am not wearing the red for the Chicago Bulls. It just happens to be a red shirt. Axel J. Miller joins us from Denver. Welcome in, Axel. Joe Garcia from Pueblo, Colorado.
22, a 9-point victory for the Spurs over the Bulls this evening. Go to Spurs.com to get your verified tickets from Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster brings you the next home game. The next home game against the Golden State Warriors
Beth
Tuesday
Settle.
night. That game will be a 7:30 tip. Tickets are available. Again, go to Spurs.com. Get your verified tickets from Ticketmaster. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification along the San Antonio Spurs Radio Network.
News Radio 1200 WOAI. San Antonio's breaking news, traffic, and weather.
A fun game to watch and a fun game to call as the Spurs win it tonight, 131-122. And right now, let's check in to the studio and see what Chris Duel's up to. Chris?
Thank you, Bill. And you called it masterfully, as you always do. 8 other games in the NBA tonight. Let's take a look at the NBA scoreboard and see what we have. First, let's get a look at some of these scores in progress in Miami. 28.6 seconds remaining in regulation. Heat over the Clippers, 117-113. In Oklahoma City, Thunder in overtime lead the Pacers, 108-102. 2:27 remaining in overtime there. In Phoenix, early third quarter, and the Suns lead the Minnesota Timberwolves, 76-69. In Milwaukee, midway first quarter, the Bucks lead the New York Knicks, 15-13. Finals from earlier tonight, Magic over the Pistons, 119-103. Hornets beat the Lakers, 114. Check that, 117-114. It was the Hawks over the Celtics, 108-92. Nuggets beat the Pelicans, 116-105. Trailblazers over the Rockets, 125-110. And the Grizzlies beat the Utah Jazz, 119-109. Programming note on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Our Spurs React is coming right up. You can react with me and with Michael Bartlett, the Mr. Rogers of Sports Talk Radio. It's a beautiful night in his neighborhood, especially when the Spurs beat the team with the third best record in the Eastern Conference. So get ready for Spurs React. We also stream live video of Spurs React on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Once again, the final score tonight from the AT&T Center, the San Antonio Spurs beat the Chicago Bulls 131-122. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
What does optimism look like? It looks like a hard-nosed drive down the lane, straight at the biggest defender.
Beth Settle, welcome. James Allen. James Allen in the house. James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. James Allen, the pride of Texas A&M University. James Allen, like Bill Schoening, a regular on my Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone out of Austin show, the Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. James Allen joins us every Thursday morning at 8:05. Bill Schoening joins us every Wednesday morning at 8:05. So we've got, the stars come out in the morning. James Allen and Bill Schoening. Good to see you in here, James Allen. James Allen wishing a good evening to Mr. Rogers. Veronica Mars, a huge Spurs fan. Good to see Veronica in here. Tucker Park, Christopher Silva, Peter Villarreal. Welcome in, everybody. I got one more segment I do on the regular radio broadcast. And then, okay. Somewhere here. There's James Allen. You want to see what James Allen looks like?
Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
What's up, this is Riley. And a little thing I love about
James Allen, a very attractive man. I'm just saying. But James will be joining us again next week. Actually, let's see, James. James, next Thursday, I am out, and Paul Alexander is with Shannon. So next Thursday, you'll be talking with Paul Alexander, who, like you, is a tremendous guest, and Shannon.
Floater and good. Seattle raindrop for DeJounte Murray. And the Spurs lead 128 to 120 with 23 seconds remaining in the game.
DeJounte Murray on fire like he is pretty much every night this season. That dude is so deserving of a trip to the NBA All-Star game. DeJounte Murray goes 26 and 10, 20.6 rebounds, 10 assists as the Spurs defeat the Chicago Bulls 131 to 122. Once again, coming right at you on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI, and streaming live video. And we've got an international audience tonight, once again, on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Spurs React coming right up with Michael Bartlett and with me. We'll react with you and get your thoughts. We'll get our thoughts. It's a great night. It's Pop's birthday. Happy birthday, Greg Popovich. Quick wrap-up from Bill Schoening at the AT&T Center, where the Spurs beat the Chicago Bulls tonight, 131 to 122. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
Todd thought it would be secure to...
Hey, bud, you looked at DeJounte's numbers wrong.
But he bought...
You said he had 26 and 10.
Todd is trying to be...
He had 29, 12, and 9.
8 miles per... But the good news is Todd has...
You know what that was?
No.
No, that was...
And he...
Last night, or the...
No. It was the ESPN scoreboard took me back to 7:31 in the fourth quarter.
Oh, I did, yeah.
I clicked on the ESPN scoreboard. It says 7:31 left. Spurs 106, Bulls 100.
Yeah, that's why they're so great, right?
My
you know,
God.
Deal that
they're the best.
What
Right.
if it's about striving for excellence
Well, I'll get it
and
right
being
for
the
you.
best label?
It's not about where others say you should be. It's about where you want to go. It's about a financial services company that focuses on your measures of success. Whether it's for your home or business, we offer personalized service and expert advice to help you achieve your unique goals.
Visit swbc.com for financial services without the labels.
Hey, James Allen, when you go to Los Angeles, if you need us to, we can move it. I mean, I don't want to add, extra items to your to-do list that week. But if you want to, we can move it that week. So that's not a problem.
Tickets start at $15 to score yours.
I'm good to go. By the way, right out of the gate.
Okay, cool. Bill Brendel, what is up? What do you mean you didn't listen, Bill Brendel? How dare you, sir? On Greg Popovich's birthday, ye of little faith.
Studio producer is Mike Bartlett. Our studio host is Chris Duel. This is Bill Schoening. Thank you for joining us this evening. The Spurs with a victory tonight over the Chicago Bulls. The final 131-122. This has been a presentation of Spurs Sports and Entertainment and the National Basketball Association.
Thank you, James.
Good night, everybody.
Spurs Radio Game Night Rewind has been brought to you by...
It's good you were ashamed, Bill Brendel. Yeah, I mean, James, we would love it when you're in Los Angeles for the Super Bowl. We'd love to get you, from LA, from the side of the Super Bowl, and we'll move you around. We'll figure it out. Well, if we need to move you to the Friday before the Super Bowl, and since it's a time change, if you want to do 8:35, that's good. We'll figure it out. Steven joins us from YouTube. We're on YouTube as well. Hey, Steven. Steven with the hashtag Go Spurs Go. Xavier Valero, what is up? Steven getting a little salty about the Rams. That's going to be a great game, Steven, that NFC Championship game. Thank you, James Allen.
React on the home of the Spurs, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
It's 118, 108.
Michael Bartlett right there with Birthday by the Beatles. And you better know whose birthday it is, Spurs fans. It is our fearless leader, Coach Gregory Charles Popovich, born on this day in 1949 in East Chicago, Indiana. Happy birthday, Coach Pop. And the Spurs give Pop a birthday present tonight. They beat the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference, the red hot Chicago Bulls, 131-122. This is Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. I'm Chris Duel, along with Michael Bartlett, the Mr. Rogers of Sports Talk Radio. It's always a beautiful day in his neighborhood when the Spurs win, and that's what they did tonight. Go Spurs, go. You want to be a part of Spurs React? We would welcome you in. Hear what you have to say about this great Spurs win on Greg Popovich's birthday. Phone number 210-737-1200 if you're in San Antonio. If you're outside San Antonio, we pay for the phone call as well. That number 800-383-WOAI. Before I go to the phone lines and before we go to Michael Bartlett, want to read you a couple of numbers. First number I want to read because I was looking at a screen that was several minutes old thanks to a website that was clunky tonight. Want to make sure I give you DeJounte Murray's real numbers: 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 12 assists. Nearly another triple-double. That would have put him ahead of David Robinson for the all-time Spurs lead at 15. He's now at 14, tied with the Admiral for most triple-doubles in Spurs history. He's also got 10 this season, which makes him second best in the NBA behind the Joker, Nikola Jokic. Let me read you other Spurs in double figures. You had 3 Spurs scoring over 20 points tonight. I mentioned DeJounte Murray, 29, 9, and 12. You had 23 points from Keldon Johnson. My goodness gracious, against a great Bulls team. Keldon Johnson goes 23, 8, and 2, 2 assists for Keldon Johnson. Jakob Poeltl, my goodness, Jakob a double-double, 21 and 11 for Jakob. And Jakob's plus-minus number, Spurs win this game 131-122. So they win by 9 points. Jakob Poeltl was a plus 30. Jakob Poeltl a plus 30 in the plus-minus. In the 32 minutes that Jakob Poeltl played, the Spurs outscored the Bulls by 30. Jakob, he's the new Wilt Chamberlain. He's unbelievable, Jakob Poeltl. Jakob, 32 minutes, 9 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block. Jakob Poeltl. Maybe we need to send Jakob and DeJounte to the NBA All-Star game. Great win for the Spurs on Pop's birthday. Happy birthday, Coach Pop. 131-122. We will go to the phone lines, and then we'll talk to Michael Bartlett. By the way, if you're new to Spurs React, or if it's been a while, we are streaming live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. As I mentioned, we've got an international audience. The greatest international Spurs fan, Taro Kotani, joining us right now from Tokyo, Japan. Ofa Lin is joining us from Singapore. James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame joining us. Brian Birdie, a big Spurs fan, who was at the AT&T Center tonight. Joe Garcia from Pueblo, Colorado. Axel J. Miller from Denver, Colorado. Just a few of the people joining us this evening on the live video feed that you can find on Facebook, Twitter. There's even a YouTube way in to that live video feed. All right, let us go to the phone calls and see how you feel about this Spurs win over the Chicago Bulls, 131-122. First up is Joe. Joe, you are on Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Welcome, Joe.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. It's been a while, but I've been listening all this time. I just want to make this really clear, or before I forget, make this point, and that is I'm not sure what the exact record, the win-loss record for the Spurs is, but that record isn't reflected when they play, because they are such a good team. They go out and they compete. It doesn't feel like, that they're in the lower standings of the Western Conference. It just feels like a team that just goes and competes. And that's, I hope everyone knows that that's a compliment. They rock. And, if there are any doubts out there in the Spurs fan land, the other thing is that Murray, he's great. It's a blessing to have him, Derek White, and have them be healthy. And thanks for having me on. Go Beals, go, and go Spurs, go.
Joe, a great phone call, and you make that's a great phone call, and you make a very astute point, and I want to underscore what you just said, because Michael Bartlett brought this up with me. In fact, Michael, let's just let's react to Joe's call, then we'll go to Veronica, then we'll go to you. But Michael, you brought up to me, and it's a huge point that Joe makes. You look at the Spurs overall record now at 19-31, and you go, ooh, 19-31. That's not what we're used to as Spurs fans. But you brought up a great statistic. The Spurs are one of the top teams in the NBA in 5-point games. Rarely is this Spurs team blown out. This is a Spurs team that hangs with really good opponents and occasionally beats them. We beat the Golden State Warriors this year. We beat the Utah Jazz. We beat the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. And tonight we beat the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference, the Chicago Bulls. So I want to get your reaction, Michael, to Joe's point. And I think it's something you and I've talked about a lot. This is a Spurs team that never quits and is usually right there in striking distance near the end of these games.
Joe has definitely been listening to React for a while and has heard us talk about it. The Pop has said it. This team just doesn't quit. They're scrappy. They play to the very end. You and I had a conversation off the air. I think you could probably count on one hand probably the times they've actually been blown out by maybe 15 or more. It's not a lot. TV showed the stat that I think they're about second or third in the league of 5-point games or closer, just in wins and losses. So they play to the very end. And it's unfortunately what Pop has said the past couple of times. They wind up making mental mistakes or making a turnover when, it doesn't benefit them. So I think that's what's a little misleading, and maybe what Joe is getting at is the team doesn't play bad. They don't look like, as he stated, a bottom tier team because they play darn close to every single game. It's just come down to a couple of times whether they make the right pass or they take a bad shot or unfortunately maybe make a bad defensive rotation. But this team is not a bad team like their record says that they are.
And we'll get back to Michael again in just a moment. If you're just tuning in, great win tonight for the San Antonio Spurs on Greg Popovich's birthday. Spurs beat the Chicago Bulls 131-122. Back to the phone lines and Veronica. Veronica, thank you for waiting. You're on Spurs React. Welcome, Veronica.
Hi, I'm so happy today that it turned out the way it did. The Spurs won for Pop on his birthday. I was praying for that. There were a ton of Bulls fans in the arena. Sometimes you couldn't, if you were just outside in the concourse and you heard cheering, you couldn't tell if it was for the Spurs or the Bulls. It was that loud. So, but we kept cheering them on. They kept fighting, and we pulled it out and we won. The tribute to DeMar was great. It was so nice to see him at the end of the game, making sure that he gave everybody a hug and, you know, spent some minutes with Pop and the other players. So I just hope they keep up what they're doing. It's like Joe said, they stay it the whole time. They just need to get a little bit more consistent for the W's to turn into L's. I mean, the L's turn into W's. But go Spurs, go Por Vida.
Por Vida, thank you, Veronica. And I got a text during the game as well, exactly what Veronica said. Brian Birdie, who is a tremendous local businessman and huge Spurs fan, and Brian Birdie goes to games not only here at the AT&T Center, but he travels on the road and catches a lot of Spurs games on the road. And Brian was with us a little earlier on our live video feed, and he texted me, said there was an amazing number of Chicago Bulls fans, a lot of people wearing their red for the Chicago Bulls, and a lot of cheering for the Bulls all night long. So now I'm wondering, are those people traveling from Chicago, traveling with the team? Do we have that many Chicago transplants in San Antonio who are more Bulls fans than Spurs fans? I don't know that I understand that. As I throw it to Michael Bartlett, Michael, it's like when the Lakers were winning, lots of Laker fans, lots of Kobe jerseys, God rest his soul. When LeBron was with the Miami Heat, lots of Miami Heat jerseys in the AT&T Center, lots of LeBron jerseys. When it was the Warriors, a lot of Steph Curry jerseys and Warrior fans all of a sudden in San Antonio. And tonight, a lot of Chicago Bulls fans. You know, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, before the Bulls were winning all these games, I didn't see all these Chicago Bulls fans showing up when the Bulls came to town. Michael, what do you think that's all about?
That's strictly bandwagon people. Those are people that follow the NBA because of a particular player or because of a particular team. That's not necessarily, Chicago people in general. And right now, I mean, hey, the AT&T Center, after, the past year and a half, 2 years with COVID, they're welcome to everybody right now. So I'm sure they're happy to see, lots and lots of people, at least nothing else, coming to the games. Unfortunately, yes, as Veronica stated, a lot of Chicago fans, but again, they're bandwagon people. It's what they do. Like you said, we see it when it comes to the Lakers. We see it when it comes to LeBron, wherever LeBron is playing. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But, this game, Pop talked about it last game against Memphis, brought up the point that, DeJounte has been playing so well this season, but the Spurs cannot rely on just one guy to win these ball games. And we talked about it several times. He said they have to have everybody play well. It has to be the team game for them. And tonight, it basically the epitome of a team game. You get 7 players in double figures tonight. Then you get DeJounte at 29, nearly 30 points. You get Keldon with 20 points. You get Jakob Poeltl with 20 points. That's nearly impossible to stop. When you get 3 guys in the 20s and then also a couple other guys in double figures, that is darn near impossible to beat. The one thing that Chicago, they were hanging their hats onto was great free throw shooting. They got to the line 26 times compared to our 18, made 22 of them. That's what kept this game close. And 3-point shooting tonight, for once, in a very few, we shot well from 3-point land, 16 of 37 for 43%. Chicago 8 of 30. I mean, unfortunately, that's the NBA this season for the most part. Whoever's shooting better from three-point range is going to win the ball game. But just a great game overall. Hats off to DeMar. DeMar looked like he was about to drop 50 on us tonight early on. But he started out, I want to say, like 7 of 9, 9 of 11. He was shooting great. And then kind of tapered off a little bit. He still got 32 points, 13 of 22 shooting, but it wasn't as automatic as it was early on in that game. And DeJounte Murray didn't even score in the first quarter, Chris. Didn't even score in the first quarter and still wound up with nearly 30 points. So it's just, wow. Again, when this team is firing on all cylinders, when everybody on the team is playing well and doing their role and doing their part, this team can play like this every single night. But they have to have everybody play their part. And like we've said, there's been times where they'll make a bad pass that turns into a turnover. They make, unfortunately, mistakes or decisions at the most inopportune times is what kills this team a lot. But you see the improvement every single game. You see the improvement of somebody holding on to the ball and not making maybe the extra pass to make it a more interesting highlight or play. You're seeing just overall a team game, 35 assists tonight, just close to the top. I think they're maybe first or second in the league in assist. 35 assists off of 50 made buckets. This team distributes and shares the basketball. It's not a one-man show. As much as we love DeJounte, and DeJounte is the leader, DeJounte would tell you himself, it's not all about him, because even with all the numbers that he puts up, the triple-doubles that he puts up, if it's not a W in the end, he doesn't care. He only cares about the W's. And tonight you saw just, again, an overall team game and what this team can be when they're firing on all cylinders. So we're about to come up against, the top of the top in the NBA. So we'll see what that does for us on this 3-game trip against Phoenix, Golden State, and then what would be the makeup game that was postponed, the Miami Heat. So it's going to be tough, but if there's any team that can do it possibly, it's this team right here.
Yeah, and Michael, it's going to happen. We started the conversation talking about how close they've been in most of their games this year, and we've said it all season long. There's going to be a moment when this young Spurs team learns to close and win consistently against very, very good teams. That might have begun tonight. I know throughout the season I mentioned they beat the Warriors earlier in the year. They beat the Jazz. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Tonight they beat the Bulls. I got a feeling sooner than later, and maybe beginning tonight, this Spurs team is going to start consistently taking care of business and getting the job done. And what better night to get it going than on Greg Popovich's birthday? We can't say it enough. I was talking with Bill Schoening in the pregame, and anybody who knows Pop knows he's not about anything that's about him. He's not about his records. He's not about his accolades, and he's probably not about his birthday tonight. But as Spurs fans, we celebrate it. We celebrate him, and we thank everything that Greg Popovich has done for this city, for this team, for this fan base. Happy birthday, Gregory Charles Popovich. This victory was for you. Final score tonight, Spurs 131, the Chicago Bulls 122. Want to thank Bill Schoening. Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as Bill. Baby, he's the best. I'm channeling Carly Simon lyrics, but he is. Thanks to Bill Schoening. Thanks to on-site engineer Sam Walters. Thanks to veteran statistician Walter Stoops. And thanks to the man you just heard, the Mr. Rogers of Sports Talk Radio. It's always a beautiful day in his neighborhood as long as the Spurs, the Cowboys, and the Longhorns are winning. Michael Bartlett. For those gentlemen, I'm Chris Duel. Once again, the final score, Spurs 131, Bulls 122. We will see you Sunday night. Spurs will be in Phoenix, pregame 6:30 on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. This has been Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Spurs win!
Trade and get into a new Mazda from World Car Mazda, like the luxury of a 2022 Mazda CX.
Have a great weekend. Happy birthday, Pop.